In the 60s, the Beatles revolutionized music. Now, the Chicago Bulls are looking to make history of their own with a fourth title in the 90s and hope to become the first NBA team to win 70 games. As we relive the legions of adoring fans the Beatles encountered, one Bull is living it himself. And while great performers make for great memories, what bigger stage is there than New York? And the Bulls are in the building. We welcome you to Madison Square Garden in New York for the NBA Game of the Week. Yes, the Chicago Bulls have brought their own version of the magical mystery tour to the Garden. And they have come in at 54-6, a record 70 wins, very much in sight, while the Knicks struggling at 34-26 in the number 4 spot. Now a half game over Atlanta, and Cleveland only one over Detroit, which has led to a coaching change. Jeff Van Gundy taking over from Don Nelson. Hi, everybody. I'm Marv Albert along with Matt Gukas. And Matt, what a delightful way for the new coach of the Knicks, Jeff Van Gundy, to make his home debut against the powerful Chicago Bulls, led as always by Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, and Dennis Rodman.
Well, they might not be as big as the Fab Four, but these three can make some beautiful music of their own. Michael Jordan, lethal in the post. When double team, he finds the open Luke Longley. And Luke returns the favor with the perfect alley-oop. Scottie Pippen and Michael in the open floor make it look easy with the 2-on-1, and Scottie, the playmaker, draws the defense for the wide-open Ron Harper. And Dennis Rodman, the relentless rebounder, puts one back, and he will occasionally get involved in the offense as well. Now, they've been putting on a show all year, but Marv, I think they really like to strut their stuff when they come to Madison Square Garden.
And for the Knicks, it has been a dismal stretch. They have lost 7 of their last 9. They come off a defeat at the hands of the 76ers on Friday night. And in recent weeks, it has not been the usual Patrick Ewing in terms of the impact that he's had on games.
And Jeff Van Gundy has made it perfectly clear. The ball will go inside to Patrick Ewing on a regular basis. Now, Patrick has had some ankle problems. Consequently, his numbers have gone down. That's 17 points, 8.5 rebounds this month, well below his norm. But for the Knicks to do any damage against the Chicago Bulls, Patrick Ewing will have to be on top of his game.
Now, Matt, I wanted to point out in the spirit of the recently released Beatles anthology, our Ahmad Rashad has released his own videotape of never-before-seen sideline reports. Ahmad?
Marv, it's not only on video, but it's also on CD-ROM. Anyway, I've been talking to Michael Jordan the last couple of days about this rivalry with the New York Knicks. He said he's played against them enough times. It's unfortunate they're having some turmoil, but he realized that this is not the time to feel sympathy. Now, Michael has been feeling very good as of late, 53 points the other night against Detroit. I asked him about that last night. He said, you know, coming into New York, I feel like maybe 55. I asked him again this morning. He said, you know, the speed limit has changed. I feel more like 60. Mark?
60 is the speculation from Michael Jordan. Bulls have won 4 straight against the Knicks. 5 of the last 6. We'll be back with the lineups right after this. The 160th consecutive sellout at Madison Square Garden, better than 19,000 on hand. For the Chicago Bulls, it is another capacity house to watch their road show. Every game this season has been a sellout. And a look at the Bulls starting lineup. In the backcourt, Michael Jordan averaging 30.9 to lead the NBA. Ron Harper at the other guard position. And up front for the 54-6 Bulls, who have won 6 in a row, Luke Longley, the center. Scottie Pippen has been bothered recently by a bad back. And Dennis Rodman. Phil Jackson, head coach of the Bulls. He is now the Bulls' all-time winningest coach, moving ahead of Dick Motta. That was back in early December. And a look at the New York Knicks, who have lost 3 of the last 4 here at home. Derek Harper and Hubert Davis in the backcourt. Hubert shooting very well as of late, taking over for John Starks, who is back in action, available for today despite the sprained ankle. At the center spot, Patrick Ewing, Anthony Mason, and J.R. Reed starting at the forwards for Reed. It is his third start as a New York Knick. And the Knicks being run by 34-year-old Jeff Van Gundy, the one-time point guard at Nazareth College in upstate New York, now the youngest head coach in the league. In his 7th year with the Knicks, he was an assistant under Don Nelson, Matt Riley, John McLeod, and Stu Jackson. And Matt, his last coaching experience, or head coaching experience, was on the high school level in Rochester back in 1986.
Well, Marv, there's only about an 18-inch move from the assistant's chair to the head coach's chair.
Yeah.
But it might as well be 18 million miles. It is such a big difference. And Jeff Van Gundy found out a lot about it the other night in Philadelphia in his debut, where they lost to the 76ers 100-92.
A 76er team that had lost the previous 7 straight to the Knicks. Bill Oakes, Joe DeRosa, Jim Kinsey are the officials, and the Knicks controlling the opening tip. Third of 4 meetings between these clubs. The Bulls won the previous 2, including a blowout here at the Garden back in January. J.R. Reed, who had the touch the other night against the 76ers, getting the Knicks on the board. How about the prediction by Michael, who sometimes kids, other times he's dead serious about that 60-point possibility here today. Scottie Pippen. And the rebound is handled by Patrick Ewing.
Well, he's left the possibility open. If he has a big game, he said, hey, I predicted it. If not, said, I was doing other things.
Right. Davis back for Reed. And Davis for 3. Jordan pops it down to Harper. They like to get Harper going early. Reed with the rebound.
Not a good shot there by Ron Harper. The Bulls normally a very good offensive transition team, but usually they get a better shot than that. All the defense was back.
And Derek Harper off the mark, rebounded by Dennis Rodman, who leads the NBA, averaging 15 per game. Here's Jordan for 3.
Uh-oh. That's a pretty way to go to start on a 50 or 60-point ball game. J.R. Reed getting the start primarily to battle Dennis Rodman and keep him off the offensive glass. However, Reed is being played by Pippen right now at the other end.
Anthony Mason. The Knicks 4 and the Bulls 3. The Bulls try to break, but the Knicks got back. Longley, though, beat Ewing down court. Won't count. But a foul is called before the shot attempt. The last time the Bulls and Knicks played at the Garden, January 23rd, Bulls won 99-79, and Luke Longley severely outplayed Patrick Ewing. Longley 7 of 11, 14 points, 10 rebounds. Ewing did not have a good one, 5 of 17 from the field. The foul was called on Rodman.
Well, the Knicks want J.R. Reed to be as physical as possible within reason. He never did make body contact with Rodman there, but had good inside position. I say as possible because when J.R. Reed does get a little bit too physical, we saw what happened a couple of weeks ago with the forearm shiver to the jaw of A.C. Green.
Chicago Bulls, 6 losses have all taken place on the road at Miami, Phoenix, Denver, Indiana, Seattle, and Orlando. The last loss February 23rd in Miami. Longley with the move on Reed, goes to the spin, and then a second option. Crowd wanted to travel, and the rebound is handled by Reed.
Terrific defense that time by the Knicks as they rotated well, challenged the shot, did a good job on the boards. This is the identity that the Knicks want to get back to.
Reed, and the Knicks are off to a good start. They are up 8-3. Well, in the past, there was so much conversation as Jordan lost the dribble off his foot about the long practices conducted by Pat Riley. Players were complaining that the practices that were run by Don Nelson were too short. I get the idea it was a message yesterday from Jeff Van Gundy. His first full practice went 3.5 hours.
Now, an hour of that was talking and looking at tape, however. But that's still a long practice for a Saturday before a somewhat of a Sunday afternoon evening game.
I say 5:30 game.
Somewhere in
Eastern
that
time,
area.
is that it? Kept alive by a Harper, and they get the new 24. And Jordan was looking for Longley, who says, my mistake.
And another reason for the long practice, you have a new coach getting his first full practice and wanting to make a lot of statements to his team and get everybody on that first page together.
Well, with the departure of Don Nelson on Friday, here is Ewing. Yes. And the Knicks lead 10-3. What was most disturbing to Knicks management, the feeling of the team quitting on Nelson and that terrible low-energy defeat to the LA Clippers this past Tuesday here at the Garden. Pippen not able to hit, and it was deflected out. The officials checking with each other. Last touch by the Bulls. Matt, once a team quits on a coach, is it over or can it be recaptured? I thought there were times last season in observing the Knicks that even Pat Riley was not able to get the message across, and I think it was one of the reasons that contributed among many to his departure.
Yeah, but it's just not that the players quitting on the coach. It's the whole coaching staff and their teammates and the organization and the fans. But you know, you're going to have bad performances from time to time and a streak of them. Let's face it, the Knicks have had their share of injuries. But you're right, Marv, that performance Tuesday night against the Clippers was very sorry.
But a very promising start by the Knicks. Here tonight, they have taken a 12-3 lead off an 10-0 run, and they're up 12-3.
Well, Patrick Ewing saying that he was going to get more inside. You can't get any further out other than a three-pointer, but Patrick can face up and score, and here, the tough runner by Ewing on the fadeaway.
For the Knicks, it's been a grueling 48 hours. It began Friday morning with the dismissal of Don Nelson after only 59 games, with longtime assistant Jeff Van Gundy taking over. The Knicks say it is not necessarily interim, but there certainly is the possibility of that Knicks job opening for next season. Does that change the ongoing contract negotiations for the one-time Knicks? Bulls head coach Phil Jackson, we talked about it yesterday with Phil.
Of course it changes things. I mean, one of the things when I started, obviously, talking to the Knicks, to the management about a new job and a new contract, was the fact that there were no really availabilities in this league with contending teams open. Suddenly, over the course of the season, there are many jobs that are open, and things like that change dramatically the opportunities that a person has to go to. As far as in our mind as to whether the loyalties lie to this basketball club and the players and the management, I still have loyalties here.
But is this now a factor? Could something happen in that direction?
I don't know. I really don't.
Well, no question about it. Phil Jackson is in the catbird seat with his team at 54-6, wide open as far as a free agent at the end of the year. It looks like he's going to use this, as Luke Walley knocks one in, as he's going to use this to the best of his advantage.
Are you saying Phil knows how to spell the word leverage? I don't think Jerry Krause and Bulls management was that delighted with the departure of Don Nelson. Ewing is now 4 of 5, and the Knicks now lead 14-5. And Michael Jordan has been kidding, at least in the locker room. Of course, Michael will be a free agent following this season. He's saying to Phil, hey, you and me, we go to New York as a package. Sure, that's been a thrilling thing to hear for Jerry Reinsdorf and Jerry Krause.
Well, Michael being Phil's biggest endorser only strengthens Phil Jackson's position that much more.
J.R. Reed continuing the Knicks onslaught. They've opened up by hitting 8 of their first 11, and they lead 16-5. And the foul is called on Harper. Holding foul indicated by Bill Oakes.
I'll tell you what, when you start knocking down jump shots as the Knicks are in this first quarter, it makes your new identity of defense look that much better. But so far, the Bulls with only 5 points. Make it 7.
Yes, Michael Jordan flying to the basket, 16-7. The Knicks with the lead. And Jordan with 5 points. He's hit 2 of 3 from the field. 6:20 to go in this opening quarter. They double up on Ewing. And the steal by Pippen. Here's Harper on the wing. Here's Harper whipping by Davis. The Knicks lead 16-9. Ewing. Oh, he is on fire. Patrick Ewing with 10 points here halfway through the first quarter. We're told that Peter Vesey just had a phone conversation with Chicago Bulls principal owner Jerry Reinsdorf on the subject of Michael Jordan and Phil Jackson. And we will hear the response of Jerry Reinsdorf at halftime. Knicks 18 and the Bulls 9. Knicks 9 of 12 from the field here at the start. Illegal defense to call against the Bulls.
Well, as soon as you think you're playing good defense against the Chicago Bulls, here goes a nice little handoff to Michael Jordan, always moving without the ball once they get into their triangle offense. And Derek Harper just not making the quick move to step out and stop that play, take the charge, or foul.
Davis for Mason. Played on a switch by Jordan. Mason trying to take him to the hoop. Davis for three. And slapped aside by Reed. J.R. Reed has been very aggressive here at the start, in particular off the offensive boards, where the Knicks have had major problems. Last in the NBA in offensive rebounding, averaging only 10 per game. Patrick Ewing with only 5 offensive rebounds the last 5 games. Scottie Pippen getting inside. And the Knicks now lead 18-11.
Big height advantage inside for Pippen against Derek Harper. Took advantage of it.
Hubert Davis. That's his first field goal. Hubert really on a roll recently, although did not have a good shooting second half against the Sixers on Friday night and finished 6 of 15. Jordan for Harper. Did not have the shot. Longley with the recovery. Good play by Luke Longley. Shot clock is down to 5. Pippen going at Harper. And Reed on the rebound. Knicks have a 4-on-3. Davis had it knocked away. Broken up by Harper.
Marv, you mentioned the problems the Knicks have had on the offensive boards, dead last. Now, part of that lately is the absence of Charles Oakley, who will give you about 3 a game. But even when Oakley was here, they were still not a good offensive rebounding team. And a lot has to do with the way that the Knicks play offense. They're just not ready when the shot goes up to climb the glass. And when you have Patrick Ewing, your biggest player, we see Charles Oakley, who's out till April 1st with that thumb injury. But Patrick Ewing, your biggest man, is generally on the perimeter taking jump shots. And Oakley also does not play inside. He is a perimeter jump shooter as well. So that leaves Anthony Mason as your primary offensive rebounder.
The Bulls foul was called on Longley. The Knicks have won only 4 of 14 since Oakley was sidelined. They were 30-16 when Oakley went down to the injury. Nice fake by Davis with the shot clock down to 2, and he drew the foul on Harper.
Hubert Davis was in trouble here. He knew he spotted that shot clock with 4 seconds to go and was trying to penetrate, something he's been doing a much better job of, getting all the way to the basket. It's one reason why he's in the starting lineup. But just a good up fake, getting Ron Harper out of position. Hubert Davis, throughout all of this turmoil, has probably been the beneficiary, taking over the starting spot in place of John Starks, in the improved shooting and three-point shooting as well. Number 3 in the league.
And doing the job at the foul line. He's hit 46 of his last 48, at one point 27 in a row at the line by Davis. Knicks 22 and the Bulls 11. 3.5 remaining in the first quarter. Ewing jumping out on a switch. Jordan able to find Longley. Luke Longley drills it, and the Knicks are up 22-13. J.R. Reed called for steps. You might see Luke Longley get more playing time than usual, because the Bulls are hurting at the center position. Bill Wennington out with an ankle injury, bone spurs in his ankle, which has bothered him for a while. James Edwards is back on the roster. John Sally signed to a 10-day contract earlier in the week. Beautiful fake by Jordan, then lost the handle. Bulls wanted a foul. Phil Jackson upset. Davis got the step, and he's fouled on a reach-in by Harper.
Well, Michael has been guarded by Anthony Mason, which looks like an unusual matchup, but this is the way they went in the second half the last time they played. And Mason, coming from behind after being beaten badly on the play, able to get a piece of the ball, a good block.
Ahmad Rashad back at Madison Square Garden. I'm joined now by Charles Oakley. And Charles, with this coaching change, what has been the attitude of the players the last couple of days?
It's a great attitude. I think that, we've been around Jeff for 7 years. I've been here 8 years. And some of the newer guys know that he's a hard-working guy, and he's willing to do whatever it takes.
A lot of people thought coming in here against the Chicago Bulls, you guys would be in a lot of trouble, but it appears that he's gotten you ready to play.
Well, in the past, we always play in Chicago tough, but last time they blew us out. But the mindset from yesterday's practice to today, it was great. And we knew we were going to come out and do into a great start. We knew we had to come out early on Chicago.
How long before you're back ready to play?
2 or 3 weeks.
All right. Thanks, Charles. All right, back to you, Marv.
Thank you, Ahmad. Charles Oakley recovering from that fractured right thumb. John Starks on the floor for the first time. Sat out the previous game against the Sixers with a sprained ankle. Starks cutting away from Harper. Mason could not see him, and then Mason able to hit his second field goal. Knicks 24, the Bulls 13 with 2:40 left in this opening quarter. The Bulls remaining the same following the timeout. Here is Jordan. And the rebound, Pippen. And J.R. Reed doing a very good job off the board. That's his 5th rebound. J.R. Reed and Dennis Rodman were teammates with the Spurs last season. Patrick Ewing. 12 points for Ewing on 6 of 7 shooting.
Well, we talked in the opening about Patrick going to be inside more. The 2 times that he has gone inside, he has gotten double team, had to give the ball up. At least when he's 18, 20 feet away, he can face up. And when he's making his jumper like this, it's okay. But eventually, he's got to move inside.
The Knicks 12 of 16 from the field. Jordan played by Mason. Rebounded by Longley. Crowd wanted to travel. Pippen. Scottie Pippen getting the roll. And the Knicks now lead 26-15. Pippen is 2 of 7 from the field. Scottie's numbers have been down as of late. Had a 5 of 17 in the Bulls' last game on Thursday against Detroit. The game that saw Michael Jordan hit for 53 points. That's a 3-point attempt by Harper, whose shooting has fallen off as of late. Michael Jordan, his first 50-point performance at the new United Center. How about 53 points in 38 minutes against the Pistons? Now Pippen going at Starks, and a foul. It's a block on Starks, who is trying to draw the charge.
Well, there's so many difficult matchups for the Knicks, mainly because Anthony Mason has drawn the assignment of guarding Michael Jordan. As I said a little while ago, that's what they did in the second half when they played back in January, and it worked pretty well. Although that was a 20-point win for the. Here's a little pick and pop for Luke Longley, and really they don't get out there in time for Luke Longley to get the wide open shot.
And off the steal, Mason leads the break. Harper. Knicks 28, and the Bulls 15, 45 seconds remaining in this first quarter. Now Willie Anderson just checked in for the Knicks, guarding Michael Jordan. Jordan able to slip by Anderson, and then Ewing. So Michael goes to the finesse move, and it's now an 11-point Knick lead.
It looks like anytime the Bulls want to run a pick-and-roll situation, Michael Jordan's going to be able to make something happen. Patrick Ewing not quick enough to get out and double.
Starks hitting the 3. John Starks, who was involved with former Knick coach Don Nelson, who what turned out to be a bitter public feud. Very popular here at the Garden, and certainly hearing the support. As this first quarter winds down, a foul is called on Anderson. We're down to 5 and 5/10 seconds to go in this first quarter. Anderson called for the foul. Here is Tony Kukoc checking in along with Steve Kerr, replacing Dennis Rodman and Scottie Pippen.
John Starks did not play in that game in Philadelphia on Friday night. Jeff Van Gundy's first, and actually a few games before that, John had been playing on a very sore ankle, and where it hurt him the most was at the defensive end, just not quick enough to get up, not able to keep people from beating him into the lane. I spoke briefly to John right before the game. I said, where are you, 80, 85%? He said, I'm 100% ready to go. And he called Jeff Van Gundy when he got the job and said, I'll do whatever you want me to do. Come off the bench, leave Hubert Davis in there. You tell me what you want me to do, I'll do it.
But there's no question, looking at it from Don Nelson's point of view, it might not have been handled in the best possible manner. I know some of the players criticized Don for not communicating properly, but Hubert Davis was playing better basketball. And that's why he had Starks coming off the bench. Here's Ewing. Unable to hit at the buzzer. A hot opening quarter. Knicks hearing it from the crowd. They are up 31-19 as they hit 14 of 20 from the field. Jordan 3 of 8 for 9 points. Ewing hitting on 6 of 8 from the field to lead the way with 12. We'll be back at the Garden in New York in a moment.
This is the NBA on NBC.
Well, the celebrities have turned out here at Madison Square Garden tonight. Matthew Modine, boxer Oscar De La Hoya, who will be going up against Julio Cesar Chavez. Elle McPherson on hand. Liam Neeson. And the artist formerly known as Prince. And Matt, you know, I've always wanted to say that. Second quarter about to get underway. Marv Albert, Matt Gukas, and Ahmad Rashad. The Knicks 31 and the Bulls 19. A red-hot shooting opening quarter for the Knicks. 14 of 20 from the field, while the Bulls only 8 for 21. Steve Kerr, Tony Kukoc, Dennis Rodman, Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen on the floor for the Bulls. Herb Williams has come on for the Knicks. Michael Jordan has been off, and he loves to play here in New York. Just about a year ago, in making his return to basketball, he scored 55 points in a game here at the Garden. Anderson got the step. Willie Anderson came over in the trade from the Toronto Raptors, played well his first couple of games as a Knick, but recently he has struggled.
Well, the Knicks are getting Dennis Rodman involved in a lot of defensive plays. You say, well, this guy used to be the defensive player of the year. He's not as good as he used to be. He can still rebound, however.
Some interesting dribbling by Harper. Nearly lost it twice on that sequence and then lost it out of bounds. And here's Charlie Ward coming on for Derek Harper. Charlie Ward getting the playing time under Jeff Van Gundy on Friday night in Philly. He has shown flashes of promise, although did not play well against the Sixers on Friday. Ward and Starks now at the guards. Kukoc guarded by Mason. Here is Kerr. Steve Kerr has had the hot hand, but for the most part from three-point range, where he's 8 for his last 11. The Knicks lead 33-21. Starks for 3. So John Starks has hit on his first 2 three-point attempts. And the Knicks lead by 15. Minute and a half gone by in the second. Kerr on a quick release. Waltman with the tip. And Mason pushing down. Ward gives it back. Starks setting up against Pippen. And fires. Not a good shot by John Starks, but it's rebounded by Herb Williams. Knicks doing the job off the board. Starks backs to three-point territory. Yes.
John has reverted to the way that he was playing last year. And, of course, Jeff Van Gundy, being a disciple of Pat Riley, appears, at least at this point, to have given John back that green light.
Well, he needs the fire and needs it in all aspects of his game. Jordan with a terrific driving move and the foul. So Jordan will go to the line. Foul committed by Anderson. John Starks lighting it up from long range. Starks 3 of 4 from the field. He has 8 points in all. Backs to three-point territory and is able to hit.
And Michael Jordan, sensing an opening in the lane, knifes in between all of the defense, able to score and draw the foul.
On a 36-degree beautiful night here in New York City. We're back at Madison Square Garden. A moment ago, John Starks backing it up, and the ruling that he obviously stepped on and over the line, so that is a 2-point shot, not a 3, and the Knicks lead 38-23. Let's check in with Ahmad Rashad, who is right near the Bulls bench. Ahmad?
All right, thanks, Marv. Phil Jackson a little bit upset about the slow start by the Bulls. Said they're not only being lax, but they're almost playing disinterested. He said they got to tune it up on the defensive end with more intensity and start playing the type of basketball that they play. Marv?
All right, Ahmad. Michael Jordan on the line looking to complete a 3-point play, and he does. He has 12. And the Knicks lead is now 38-24.
And the Bulls going to full court pressure as they normally do after a free throw situation. In the past, in other years against Knicks teams, the Bulls were able to befuddle New York's ball handling.
Herb Williams posting up now on Tony Kukoc. Goes to the jump hook. The 38-year-old Herb Williams started the previous 2 games. He's played well since coming back from Toronto after the Raptors waived him. Jordan. And he is fouled. Herb Williams played 1 game as a member of the Toronto Raptors. Actually played 31 minutes. He had been traded by the Knicks to Toronto right before the trade deadline. Played that 1 game, then was waived, re-signed by the Knicks. He said his return to Toronto with the Knicks this past week was very emotional.
Well, he got to know a lot of people and like them in such a short period of time.
Of course. Knicks continue to do the job off the boards, which had been a weakness. Mason gets it off to Starks. And rebounded by Jordan. Anthony Mason already with 6 assists in this first half. Jordan with the pull-up. Yes. Michael Jordan cuts it to a 12-point Knicks lead, and Jordan beginning to show some signs. 14 for Michael. Jordan on the rejection. A save by Kukoc. The look away. Jordan with the beautiful pass to the rookie from Alabama, Jason Caffey, who had checked in a moment ago. Jason Caffey, very instrumental in that Bulls blowout of the Knicks back in late January. Played well, an aggressive performance. 7-0 run by the Bulls, and a 20-second timeout is called by the Knicks.
Well, Michael Jordan made a 3-pointer, his first shot of the game, and then started going to the basket a little bit more. Here he tries another one from the outside. And John Starks getting a little bit out of control now, forcing things. Michael sensing it, coming over to help out teammate Steve Kerr to swat it away and get the save from Tony Kukoc. And then Starks slow getting back defensively. That left an opening in the middle for Jason Caffey, and the no-look feed from Michael.
So a 7-0 run by Chicago following the 17-point lead by the Knicks. Michael Jordan just loves to play here at Madison Square Garden. At the Garden, in his previous 32 games, he has averaged close to 31 a game. 5 rebounds, 5 assists per game. Here's the stat line thus far tonight. Knicks going with Ward and Starks in the backcourt. Ewing is back up front, along with Mason and Anderson. Here's Ward forcing over Kukoc. I don't know if that was his intent. Did he call glass?
I heard him. I heard him call.
And the Knicks now lead 40-28. 4 minutes gone by in the second as Jordan was tripped up by Anderson. The basket won't count.
And Charlie Ward, with his football background, probably didn't play too much in the backfield, but coming over to try to help out and stuck his leg out there, and a hard fall, not only by Michael Jordan, but also Charlie Ward went down very hard.
They double up on Kerr, who finds Kukoc. Offensive foul on Kukoc.
Well, a couple of times now, some Knicks, some Bulls have gotten into the lane, and you can tell that that's what's being talked about in the huddles. Hey, nobody is going to drive down the lane without some kind of contact. Either we take the charge or we foul. That's not necessarily dirty play, but you do have to protect that dotted line lane area, the launching pad.
But it's obvious it's back to the more aggressive style that we saw under Pat Riley. Mason returning to Ward. Starks. And rebounded by Jordan. The Knicks lead is 12. Jordan. And on a switch. His pass broken up. Recovered by Kukoc. And a foul is called. Charlie Ward called for his second foul. Jeff Van Gundy, who was an assistant under Pat Riley, greatly influenced by Pat Riley's philosophies. Told that Pat called him Friday to wish him well. Riley tried to bring Van Gundy to Miami with them, but the Knicks would not let Jeff out of the contract. He is the youngest active head coach by a pretty good margin.
7 years an assistant. Talking to him yesterday about his father, who's been coaching over 30 years, what his advice to him was. He said, be innocuous with the media.
And excellent advice.
And his advice from his brother Stan, who was an assistant with Pat Riley in Miami, he said, just win.
J.R. Reed. And the Knicks lead 42-30. Be innocuous with the media, I see. Nice fake by Caffey. And then deflected out by the Knicks. Timeout is taken with 6:49 remaining. First half. Well, Michael Jordan warmed up for tonight, this past Thursday against the Pistons with a 53-point performance. 53 points, the most scored in the NBA this season. It marked the first 50-point game for Michael, as we mentioned earlier, at the United Center, and the 34th career 50-point game for Michael Jordan, which leaves him, incidentally, in second place in a unique category.
Are you aware that the most points at the age of 33 is 55? That record held by Rick Barry.
Oh, yeah? I didn't know that. If I'd known that, I probably should have went for it last game. No, I wasn't aware of it. And will I ever get an opportunity again to break that record? I don't know. But if I get close, I remember it.
And he would have gotten it in the second half. And the last 6 shots that Michael took, the net barely rippled.
And Jordan with the strong drive. 16 for Michael. And the Bulls chipping away. The Knicks have led by as many as 17. It's now down to 10. 6.5 remaining in the first half. Anderson trying the spin, was tripped up by Jordan.
Well, Michael Jordan has mixed it up. He has made a couple of shots, and here John Starks trying to get out and pressure Michael, and there's no question the ankle's still not right for Starks. I don't know if it would matter anyway, and then Michael couldn't get his foot out of the way as he tripped Willie Anderson.
Bill Jackson now has the 40-year-old James Edwards running the floor. Couldn't handle that lead pass, although it nearly deflected home. Edwards with Caffey and Kukoc, Kerr and Jordan. In the backcourt, here is Starks delivering to Harper. Nice swinging the ball by the Knicks. Harper, yes. Well, we are seeing things by the Knicks that we have not seen in some time. They did not play well in losing to the Sixers, obviously, Friday night at the Spectrum, but they have come out in a different manner here this evening. No backcourt violation. It was tipped to the backcourt by Harper. Shot clock at 4. Jordan. And slapped out of bounds by Edwards. Scottie Pippen making his return, replacing Tony Kukoc. So a short stint for Kukoc, who leads with 2 points. The Chicago Bulls with the best record in the NBA at 54-6. They've won 6 in a row. They are 24-6 on the road, 30-0 at home. Harper from deep in the corner, and rebounded by Edwards. James Edwards, who was injured earlier in the season, missed 21 games with a sprained back. Kerr for three. Steve Kerr is now 9 for his last 12 from three-point range. He is second in the league in three-point shooting at 52%. And the foul is called. Foul committed by Edwards.
Well, John was disgusted with himself at not being up tighter on Steve Kerr, because you know, in the pregame talk and in the preparation with Steve Kerr, you just don't want to leave him alone. You don't want to get his feet set. And John made a mistake, but he's having more trouble moving at the defensive end because of that ankle. At the offensive end, he looks much, much quicker. However, he's trying a little bit too hard. He's trying to force things instead of letting the game come to him a little bit. But as you said before, Mark, this is when John Starks plays his best basketball, when he has that freedom to almost be a wild man.
John Starks this season as a starter, averaging just 12 points a game, was not playing well. He's had a series of injuries, particularly recently with the sprained ankle, but he was not shooting well. Don Nelson saying to Starks, as Pat Riley did the last couple of years, wanted to see John taking the ball to the hoop more frequently. And he did open the season trying to drive more, looking to shoot less three-pointers, but then cut back on his driving. And they just were not satisfied with his play. Remember, he came into the league after he was dropped by Golden State and went back to the CBA as a defensive-oriented player, and coaches always trying to get him back to that. That's what brought him here.
And there's no question he is not the same defensive player that he was 3 years ago.
Steve Kerr, again showing he can also hit from two-point range. And the Knicks now lead 46-37 with 4:35 remaining in the first half. Harper had it knocked away, but recovered by Starks. Here's Ewing giving it back. Ewing facing single coverage from Edwards. Patrick Ewing, 7 of 10 from the field. He has 14 points. Now Ewing stepping out on a switch. Jordan. Offensive foul. Foul committed by Edwards, trying to set the pick.
Early in the ballgame, the Knicks had trouble guarding the pick and roll situations. Patrick Ewing did a much better job, but Michael Jordan spread the floor even more, and then Edwards trying too hard to free up. Michael Jordan called for the hard pick.
Edwards sitting down. Longley returns. Hubert Davis is back. Davis and Harper in the backcourt. Ewing, Mason, and Anderson up front. Mason backing Pippen. And his foul. Won't count. The foul before the shot attempt for the Bulls. Their third team foul. The Knicks with 4.
Well, Anthony Mason has done a terrific job of mixing things up. He already has 6 assists in the ballgame. Here, just using his bulk and his strength, backing in on Scottie Pippen, and finally help came, but Pippen got called for reaching in and slapping, as Michael Jordan will get a breather, and Dennis Rodman returns.
Dennis Rodman with only 2 rebounds, but the main reason for that, in the early going, the Knicks were hitting most of their shots. Tough to rebound under those conditions. Harper for 3. A rare offensive rebound by the Knicks. Ewing going at Longley. Scottie Pippen limping off the floor. That gets the crowd going. And you see the game face has returned to Patrick Ewing. That was not the case for most of the season. Well, just a moment ago, Patrick Ewing ignited the crowd with this emphatic stuff. Take a listen. So Patrick Ewing, 8 of 11 from the field, 16 points, 6 rebounds, and Scottie Pippen, right after that play, limped back to the bench. Let's check in with Ahmad.
All right, Marv, I just spoke with Scottie Pippen. He said that he twisted his ankle a little bit when he's trying to contest the shot. He came over and stretched it out a little bit, and he's fine and is still in the game. Marv?
All right, Ahmad, Scottie Pippen has been bothered by a bad back as of late, although we chatted with him prior to the game, and he said not that bad because there have been some suggestions perhaps he should sit out a game or two, and I'm wondering if he feels it might affect the run for the possibility of 70 wins, but he said, no, he's all right.
He does act like he wants to play in all 82 games this year. Almost a good defensive play by Patrick Ewing. But Scottie has not shot the ball well in the last 9 games. Does 35% and 2 for 8 in this one.
Shot clock is at 6. Coming up on 3 minutes to go in the half. Knocked away from Jordan. A pass behind him. Davis putting the move on Harper. And it's an offensive foul. Hubert Davis called for the charge. And for Davis, his first foul. So the Bulls get it back. The Knicks 50 and the Bulls 37. The Knicks have led by as many as 17. The Bulls went on a run. Hot shooting first half by the Knicks. 14 of 20 in the first quarter. They're at 61% for the half.
And part of the reason for that 13-point lead, I mentioned Pippen 2 for 8. Dennis Rodman only 2 rebounds.
Harper was stopped, but good recovery by Ron Harper, tying up Anthony Mason. All right, for more on Scottie Pippen, let's get back to Ahmad Rashad. Ahmad?
All right, Marv, Scottie has been bothered with all kinds of, you guys were saying, all kinds of little nagging injuries, which has prohibited him from practicing like he wanted to practice. And he feels like his whole rhythm and his style and everything is off from the game. So he really needs to play more in games to try to get his rhythm back and get back to his shooting touch that he had before all those injuries. Marv?
All right, and Pippen with only 4 points. As you mentioned, Matt, in this first half, just 2 of 80. Went 1 for his first 6. Knicks by 13 with 2.5 to go in the first half. Mason lost it. Here comes Harper, 3 on 2, and then pulls it back. Deflected out by Derek Harper of the Knicks.
And another reason for the 13-point lead for New York, they are playing with a great deal of emotion, which you would expect in the first home game under that man, Jeff Van Gundy. And the Bulls look like a team that has 54 wins, that feels like they can push that button whenever they want. Just a little bit lethargic right now. I'm sure they'll hear about it at the halftime from Phil Jackson. He probably has anything to yell about in about 2 months.
Oh, he'll find some things. Nice play by Davis, tipping it, but could not be handled. And it will be Chicago ball. We have seen the Bulls from time to time have this type of game and then come back strong in the second half.
Well, the other night against Detroit, after 3 quarters, a very close ball game. Not that Detroit was playing particularly well. It was just kind of both teams banging away at each other. And then all of a sudden, bam, the Bulls turn it on.
And a holding foul called on the inbound. It is on Anderson, so that means a 2-shot foul. Michael Jordan will go to the line. Coming up at halftime, Bob Costas with Julius Erving. Vesey. Look at scores and highlights from around the NBA. Michael Jordan, 3 of 3 at the foul line. J.R. Reed, who's had a strong first half, back on the floor. 4 for 4 from the field, 8 points, 5 rebounds for Reed. Talking about the possibility of winning 70 games, the Bulls have to finish at least 16 and 6 to make it to 70. You look at the schedule, it is in sight. A very favorable schedule for the Bulls, particularly in the month of March. 10 of their 14 games are at home. Wednesday they're home for the Bullets, or is it the Wizards, man? And Friday home for the Nuggets. Overall, including today, 11 home games, 11 on the road to close out the regular season. Pippen for 3, and Reed with the rebound. It has been a very quiet first half for Dennis Rodman.
And Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan doing all of the scoring with 17 points. In the early part of the game, Pippen was, the Bulls on the break, but Pippen was getting some inside position against smaller players.
Scottie trying to shoot his way back into it.
He'd be better off going inside to get his shooting rhythm back with a couple of layups.
Longley. Oh, Rebounded by Rodman. And Rodman will pop. Bad shot by Dennis Rodman. And he hears it from the crowd.
Well, he's just trying to do something to get the Bulls ignited. He's trying to hustle up, get some rebounds, make a shot, push and bang on defense to get the team fired up.
Mason going at Rodman with the head fake. And back comes Pippen. Scottie Pippen. 3 of 11 for Scottie Pippen. Only 6 points. He does have 4 assists. And the Bulls have cut it to 10. And that call away from the ball. Mason and Rodman in a conversation. And Bill Oakes calling the foul on Rodman. And second. Chicago has trailed at the half in only 16 games this season. They're down by 10 with a half minute to go, first half. Davis on the quick release. Jordan looking over at Phil Jackson, who wants a 20. And we get the call of the 20-second timeout with 16 and 6/10 seconds to go in this first half.
Well, the Knicks have to be very happy with their first half, but one word of caution, which Jeff Van Gundy, I'm sure, will point out, is, hey, guys, we have this lead, but we made an awful lot of jump shots in the early part of the game to get that lead. That might not necessarily hold. They still have to go inside to Patrick Ewing and also inside to Anthony Mason, who can score on Dennis Rodman on the inside. And, of course, Phil Jackson has a bundle of things to talk to his team about at halftime, mainly with just the way that they came out and approached this game. You'll remember when the Miami Heat had made a trade a couple of weeks ago, and a whole bunch of new players came in, and the Bulls went down there and expected just the Miami Heat to roll over, and they beat them in that ball game, mainly, though, with a barrage of three-point shots, mainly by Rex Chapman.
And that's the Bulls' last loss, February 23rd in Miami. 113-104. They have won 6 straight since then. Jeff Van Gundy looking to put John Starks back on the floor. The difference here tonight for the Knicks, aside from the good shooting, they have looked very aggressive. It's been a high-energy performance, something that we have rarely seen of the New York Knicks this season. It has happened from time to time. In the early going, they came up with victories over most of the good teams. Their most impressive win was a game in Seattle led by Patrick Ewing, who had a 41-point game as they beat the Sonics in Seattle. So there were good moments. And this is a team that at one point, 30-16, then Charles Oakley went down. And I have the feeling they were using it as a crutch, because last year when Oakley went down, the Knicks continue to win. But this season, they're 4-10.
Also compounded by Ewing's injury to his ankles and John Starks. That's 3 key players.
Jordan. It's down to an 8-point Knick lead with 4/10 of a second remaining in the half. Here's Harper. So Michael Jordan, the high man, with 19 on 7 of 15 shooting. Patrick Ewing leading the Knicks with 16. John Starks has 10, as Michael Jordan just does get it off before the end of the half. The Knicks led by as many as 17. They're up by 8. Bob Costas and the Prudential halftime report in a moment.
This is the Prudential Halftime Report, brought to you by Prudential. Live well, make a plan, be your own rock.
If the question about the Knicks, so horrendous of late, was, were they prepared to pack it in? Not yet, at least. Very impressive on national TV and leading the Bulls at the half, 50-42. Hi again, Bob Costas back with Julius Erving and Peter Bess. All right, now let's backtrack to our own game. New York in front 50-42 at the half. What's your take on this?
Well, you know, I'll tell you, even though the Bulls outscored the Knicks in the second quarter 23-19, you have to appreciate the effort that you've seen by the New York Knickerbockers. They're moving the ball around well. They're running in transition. They're making the shots. If you look at the Chicago team, it's hard to believe that they are 54-6. You know, maybe raising some questions about Scottie Pippen's back, which has been bothering him as of late, and the jinx that we've probably put on Dennis Rodman by having him as a feature earlier.
Well, in that first half, we heard the comment from Phil Jackson about his coaching future. Now, among the many scenarios speculated about for next year in New York, when virtually nobody thinks Jeff Van Gundy is going to be the head coach, one of them had Phil Jackson coming here, and perhaps, if you really want to wildly speculate, somehow bringing Michael Jordan with him. You've been on the phone to try to track that down.
I think
right?
I mentioned that Jordan thing first.
Yes, you did, as a matter of fact.
It wasn't speculation. There's some truth to it. I talked to Jerry Reinsdorf. He's in Scottsdale, Arizona, his summer home, or his winter home in the summer, and he told me whatever. He told me that when he met with Jackson before the All-Star break, they had a conversation. Based on that conversation, he had to take care of some things relating to the structure of the contract. Those things have been taken care of. He plans to meet with Phil Jackson in Chicago this week, and I told him what Phil had said to Marv Albert. He was kind of surprised about that. I said, well, how many years have you been talking about on this contract? And he said he's talking about only a 2-year contract because Phil had said that he wanted to go with the relation to his kids getting out of high school at that time, and that's when he wanted to stop coaching. Now, it sounded to me like Phil was open up negotiations on the air with Marv.
Very briefly, do you think there's any chance that Phil Jackson might coach someplace other than Chicago, specifically New York, next year? Any chance?
I don't think so. If Phil Jackson's been dealing in good faith with Jerry Reinsdorf, I believe in Phil Jackson's integrity. Reinsdorf told me that there have been no snags in their negotiation, so I think it will continue and he'll stay in Chicago.
This is the NBA on NBC. The game of the week.
Welcome back to Madison Square Garden in New York. Marv Albert with Matt Kukas. The Knicks with an 8-point lead at the half. They led by as many as 17. Matt, I would think Phil Jackson doesn't feel that bad when you consider the way his club shot. They were just 38% from the field, while the Knicks 56%, yet only the 8-point lead.
Well, usual procedure for Chicago, turn it up defensively either at the beginning of the third quarter or somewhere in the second half. It's how well the Knicks handle that test and handle the basketball. They did it very well in the first half. Only 6 turnovers.
Let's take a close-up look at the arithmetic, a look at the Miller Lite halftime statistics. Chicago 17 of 44. The Knicks 22 of 39 for the 56% shooting. Michael Jordan, 19 points on 7 of 15 from the field. Jordan playing 23 minutes in the first half. And in the rebounding department, the Knicks usually lacking, but they've had the edge in the first half, 21-19. And Patrick Ewing with a very strong first half. Jeff Van Gundy, the new coach of the Knicks, is with Ahmad Rashad. Ahmad?
All right, thanks, Marv. Jeff, very high energy first half, shot 56%, but only up by 8 points. What are your concerns going in the second half?
The energy level, we have to keep that up, and we have to keep rebounding the ball and keep moving the ball unselfishly. If we do that, we'll be fine.
Guys went out of here very fired up, doing a heck of a job.
Well, I think, all that credit goes to the players. They've come out ready to win, get out of the funk we've been in.
All right, thanks a lot, Jeff. Good luck to you in the second half.
Appreciate it.
All right, back to you, Marv.
Well, Jeff getting the stamp of approval from Coach Rashad. We'll be back with the second half in a moment. Back at the Garden, this the third of 4 meetings this season between the Knicks and the Bulls. The Bulls have won the previous 2. A look at the scoring rundown of the first half. Jordan with 19, the only Bull in double figures. 10 for Starks, 16 for Ewing. John Starks with a good effort coming off the bench after sitting out the previous game with the sprained ankle. So the third quarter is underway, and here is Jordan. Yes. The Knicks 50. And the Bulls, 44.
First play for Scottie Pippen on a post-up where he had some success early in the ballgame over the smaller Derek Harper. Nothing going in there, and the whole defense collapsing, leaving Michael wide open. But the Bulls are going to have to get more scoring contribution other than just Michael Jordan.
7-0 run by Chicago going back to the second quarter. Shot clock running down. Reed able to get it to the rim. And Dennis Rodman able to pull down only his 5th rebound. Jordan with the show the ball move and then lost the handle. Jordan for 3. Michael Jordan makes it 10 unanswered by Chicago. And the Bulls are within 3. Here's some pressure from Pippen. We have not seen any trapping by the Bulls, who like to do it from time to time against the Knicks. Pippen with the block. Rejecting Reed. Jordan for Rodman. It's a 1-point lead and a quick timeout being called by the Knicks.
And Michael has that look in his eye right now. Wants to take care of business right at the start of this third quarter. Stepping behind the line as Anthony Mason's starting to have all kinds of problems, but who wouldn't once he's starting to hit the perimeter shot, and then the terrific defensive play by Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan seeing the whole floor. Nobody else sees Dennis Rodman except Michael, and there's the easy lay-in.
The Bulls have come out and reeled off 7 straight points in this third quarter. Going back to the second, it is a 12-0 run. So Jordan with 24. And illegal defense called against Chicago for the first time.
Harper was just running over into the area of the ball. I think he thought the pass was going into the post, was going to look for a steal, a gambling type defensive play, but with just a little pump pass, he was going to start out and double team the man with the ball, Derek Harper, but the officials caught him. And the rule is on pump fakes, you are allowed to momentarily be illegal, but that was way beyond. He had come all the way to the other side of the floor.
And a correction, obviously, it was the second illegal defense, which led to that technical foul. Knicks now lead 51-49. Ewing battling for position. Facing a double team. And Rodman gets to the rebound. Jordan changed his mind with Ewing getting a piece of the ball. Pippen for 3. Scottie Pippen from downtown. And the Bulls with the lead for the first time since the early moments when they were up 3-2.
And this is when the Knicks have to settle down and make sure they get a good shot, preferably going to the basket. Again, the Knicks just do not get to the foul line. Just 7 for 10 the other night in that loss to Philadelphia.
Davis. Well, the Knicks do not drive the ball frequently enough to get to the line.
And Hubert Davis did it there, and he can do that. And, of course, he can set it up because he's such a good perimeter shooter. The Bulls, I should say, the Knicks just 6 for 7 from the line so far in this one.
Now Pippen with the post up, able to go glass. So Scottie Pippen, after the slow start, has come on, and the Bulls in the midst of a 17-1 run that goes back to the late stages of the second quarter. Ewing off the hesitation dribble. And Mason is taken down by Longley.
Well, Scottie Pippen, the beneficiary of terrific ball movement by the Chicago Bulls, as the whole Knick defense had to sag in on the semi-fast break. And this is where Scottie really has an advantage over the smaller Derek Harper. And the Bulls have that within their offense, but Scottie generally prefers to be out on the perimeter.
Knicks have missed their last 8 shots. Anderson, who just checked in. Rodman with another rebound. Willie Anderson replacing J.R. Reed. Harper. Jordan now being played by Davis. And Ewing with his 9th rebound. Jordan is now 9 for 18 from the field. Harper hits a 3 for Derek Harper. The Knicks have missed their previous 9 shots. The game is tied at 54. Now Willie Anderson will take a crack at Michael Jordan. Knicks have been mixing it up defensively. Jordan talking to Anderson. Goes to the pull-up. Oh, you know the rims love Michael Jordan when you get that kind of roll.
Well, the shot before was way off and caught the back of the rim and almost fell in, and Michael shook his head again. He almost was surprised himself. That brick, he said to himself, almost went in.
Bad pass by Harper, and the Bulls get it back. They lead 56-54. The Knicks led by as many as 17 points in the first half. Now Davis on Harper. Pippen facing the double team. Good play by Davis. Has a 3-on-2, but Jordan is back. Here's Davis, the trailer, had very little room to operate. And back comes Jordan. Oh, the ball fake leading to the jumper this time. He did not get the friendly roll. Davis with room for three. The Knicks lead by 1 with 5 minutes gone by here in the third.
Well, so far, the Knicks hanging tough, taking the Bulls' tough shot here right now at both ends of the floor. The Bulls have turned it up defensively and moving the ball much better at the offensive end.
Mix up on the pass from Rodman to Pippen, so the Knicks will get it back. A timeout is called. Michael Jordan, from time to time, likes to talk to his opponent, and having a fine conversation here with Willie Anderson.
You can imagine what he's saying and thinking. Hey, Willie, you just can't do it. You just can't guard me.
Back at Madison Square Garden in New York, Michael Jordan, now 10 of 20 from the field, 26 points, 6 rebounds. He is a player who just has loved playing here at Madison Square Garden. He has had some big moments, 55 points, the most scored by a Knick opponent at the present Madison Square Garden. That was last March the 29th. Most points scored by a Knick opponent at the old Garden. Wilt Chamberlain, 73 points in November of 62, and Bernard King with a 60-point effort back in 84. Another man who just thoroughly enjoyed playing here at the Garden. On the right, one Matt Gukas defending. That's the fingertip approach against Walt Clyde Frazier, and Matt Gukas would just enthrall the crowds with his defensive work.
It's terrific footwork you could see there.
Yes.
I don't know how I didn't trip there.
Ewing, yes. And the Knicks with a 59-56 advantage. 6.5 left in the third quarter. Scottie Pippen, who's turned it here in the third. Longley trying to get it to Jordan, broken up by Anderson.
And right away, Michael Jordan looking to Luke Longley and showing him where to throw that pass away from the defense. Michael sticking out his left hand. It was a well-executed play until the pass attempt by Luke Longley.
7 on the 24. Anderson with the steal.
And that time, Michael didn't come hard enough to meet the ball.
They double up on Ewing. Harper open for 3. Eric Harper has 10 points. He's hit his last 2, both from downtown. And the Knicks with a 6-point lead. Longley. And a loose ball foul. It's on Rodman. That is his third.
Well, things weren't working well for Anthony Mason. Jeff Van Gundy putting the 6'7" Willie Anderson quicker feet, and Michael Jordan by not coming hard to the ball. A good defensive play by Willie Anderson, who does a nice job here swinging the ball, and that all started from the double team on Patrick Ewing as Derek Harper knocks one down.
And the Knicks have reacted well after that 17-1 run by the Bulls. Harper again. He's hit his last 3. 2 from downtown on the 2-pointer right here, and the Knicks in the midst of a 13-2 run after falling behind by 3. They're up by 8 once again. Jordan to the fadeaway. The Knicks 64, and the Bulls 58. Michael with 28. 5 minutes to go in the third quarter. Mason protecting the dribble. Ewing. attacking Longley. And Rodman on the rebound. And for Dennis Rodman, that is his 8th rebound after the slow start. Rodman being guarded by Ewing. Jordan able to put the move on Mason. Longley missed the tip. And back comes Anderson. Harper for 3. Yes. He's hit his last 4 3 from three-point range, and the Knicks lead 67-58.
Well, that is confidence. Actually, the Knicks had a transition situation, could have gone to the basket, but the way that Derek is shooting it from beyond the arc, hey, why not?
4:14 left in the third, and the Knicks are up by 9. Well, Dennis Rodman upset about a foul call. He felt he was pushed, but the call against Rodman for his 3rd of the game, and he yelled at one of the officials, "Open your eyes." Recently, Dennis has been on the feisty side, complaining to the officials more frequently, which can take him out of his game, and we talked about that with Michael Jordan.
I think he's under control. I think Dennis is going to be Dennis, and without a little disruption, Dennis is not Dennis. I think he takes it to a level, and then, you know, he more or less knows he's achieved his point, and I think he respects us enough, and I respect him enough to go to him and say, "Okay, Dennis, you got your 1 technical. Let's calm down, get yourself back into the game, get your head back in the game, and focus on the game." I think he's not going to do anything that's going to disrupt what this team is all about right now. A lot of people are waiting for him to do that, and he knows that. I think he's smart enough not to fall prey to that.
And Phil Jackson told me yesterday that the officials already know where Dennis Rodman is and how he plays. He doesn't need to bring more attention to himself.
Scottie Pippen coming up short on the turnaround. Knicks with a 9-point lead. Davis. Anderson missed the tip. Ewing with the rebound. So the Knicks with a very strong reaction after that run by the Bulls that extended to 17-1. They have answered with an 18-4 spurt and lead by 11. Tony Kukoc back on the floor, backing his way on Willie Anderson. Rejected by Ewing. Recovered by Longley. Knocked away by Mason. Davis with Kerr back. Goes at it with the spin. Beautiful play by Kerr to break it up. Last touch by Davis.
Well, the offensive rebounding has been a big problem for the New York Knicks, and Patrick Ewing, who is capable of getting in there. This one he battles once, twice, 3 times to get a hold for his 3rd offensive rebound. Make that just his 2nd offensive rebound in this game. But the crowd really came alive at the other end of the floor when he stepped in the lane to get that block shot.
J.R. Reed getting set to return. Kukoc for 3. Air ball, but saved by Rodman. Shot clock at 3. Pippen. And the Bulls way off, but Rodman again able to keep it alive. Edwards. And a foul call being applauded by Rodman. Mason called for his first.
Well, actually, Dennis Rodman started begging for this on the last little confrontation with Patrick Ewing, and I think Anthony Mason is definitely frustrated with all the offensive rebounds that Rodman is getting and just trying to keep a body on him. But Dennis gives you that little extra lean in, forcing you to do more than you actually wanted to. He baited Anthony Mason into that foul.
Dennis Rodman with 10 rebounds in this 3rd quarter. Phil Jackson resting. Michael Jordan, Kerr with the pass off the mark. Ewing going at Edwards. 2 minutes, 20 seconds remaining. In the 3rd, the Bulls with the ball. They're down by 11. And the foul against the Knicks. J.R. Reed called for his first. Here is Michael Jordan returning. He'll come on for Scottie Pippen.
Well, that was a long rest. That's not even time enough to have a half a cup of water.
Pippen leads with 11 points, but has not shot well, only 5 of 15. Jordan posting up on Harper. The rebound by Reed, who's done a good job. Mason being guarded by Kukoc, going right at him. They cleared it out. Starks for three.
And James Edwards and Patrick Ewing having some words as they win their way back to the other end.
Here is Kukoc. And he was fouled by Reed. Tony Kukoc not received much playing time tonight. Just 9 minutes. And 0 for 3 from the floor. He is 2 of 2 at the line.
And there's no question, Tony Kukoc has a much more difficult time playing on the road and being productive. He has played very well at the United Center. There you see the difference in the field goal percentage and in scoring. But a couple of weeks ago, we saw him have a brilliant game against the Orlando Magic with the 6 3-pointers. On the other hand, Michael Jordan, who still says he's having trouble getting comfortable on the home floor at the United Center, felt that that game the other night was a bust-out game for him when he scored the 53 against Detroit.
53 points in 38 minutes, his first 50-point game at the United Center. J.R. Reed is 5 of 7 from the field. He has 10 points, along with 7 rebounds. The Knicks lead 71-60. Bulls have missed their last 6 shots. Kukoc. And here comes Harper. Pulls it up for 3. Well, Derek Harper, who has not shot well, did not shoot well in the first half, has turned it around. 14 of his 18 have come here in the third quarter. It is a Michael Jordan-like performance in this third quarter for Derek Harper. And the Knicks lead by 14 points. Reed gets to the loose ball. Harper with Kukoc back. Regroups. And then fires. Ovation from this capacity crowd here at the Garden as the Knicks have bounced back after the run by the Bulls and lead by 16. Final seconds of the third. Offensive foul call. Foul on Jordan, pushing out as he set up on the spin. Final seconds of the third. Ewing for 3. Derek Harper with 16 points in the third. 16 of his 20. 4 of 4 from three-point range here in the third quarter. The Knicks by 16. We'll be back after these words from your local station.
Well, Michael Jordan going against Derek Harper with the floor spread. Keep an eye on his left hand and left arm as he tries to clear space. Just slid it down ever so slightly and called for an offensive foul as waving off the defender's hand, which is an offensive foul, but that was very, very close. And watch Michael Jordan give it to referee Joe DeRosa and let him know what he thought about the play.
Michael Jordan obviously very upset the way things have gone. It appeared that the Bulls were able to turn it around off that 17-1 run that began in the second quarter, but the Knicks were able to weather it, and they finished with a 22-4 spurt to end the third quarter, keyed by the shooting of Derek Harper. Fourth quarter underway, the Knicks with the big lead, and now extend to an 18-point advantage. It's their biggest lead of the game. But in recent weeks, the Knicks have had big trouble in the fourth quarter. There you see, outscored by an average of 27-17 the last 7 games. They have blown games, particularly on the recent West Coast trip in the fourth quarter. John Starks in the face of Steve Kerr. And a foul call.
Well, John Starks has to be very careful here about taunting, and referee Billy Oakes letting him know about it. But John made a mistake in the first half, leaving Kerr open. Ever since Kerr has come back, and now we do have a technical foul on John Starks and on Steve Kerr.
Double technical call. The foul was actually called away from the ball on Herb Williams.
And Starks continues to jaw at Steve Kerr, but he does not want to make that same mistake, leaving Kerr open for anything.
You get the idea, Matt, that John Starks has been encouraged to get back to his old fiery self. Foul on Mason.
Well, there's no question that John Starks had been a very frustrated player throughout much of the year because he had so much freedom in the past, being able to pretty much shoot the ball anytime he wanted. He was the 2 of the 1-2 punch with Patrick Ewing, and things changed.
Michael Jordan with a beautiful finger roll, and the Knicks now lead 78-62. A minute gone by in the fourth quarter. Mason fouled by Edwards.
Well, Michael Jordan has been pretty much the lone offensive thrust for the Chicago Bulls. Nobody else really able to get involved as he's able to get inside and go right through J.R. Reed. But the only way the Bulls are going to get back into this ball game really, though, is defensively by creating some turnovers, force some tough shots, rebound, and then go. But right now, other than Jordan and Pippen, the Bulls do not have a defensive team out there. James Edwards is more of a scorer. Jason Caffey, just a rookie, and Steve Kerr, well, not a aggressive defensive player as far as pressure as Derek Harper hears it from the crowd after shooting beautifully in that third quarter.
Harper sitting down with 20 points. And the Knicks now lead 80-62. Charlie Ward replacing Derek Harper. The last time the Bulls were at the Garden, taking it out of the hands of Caffey. The Chicago Bulls blew out the Knicks late January 99-79. Here's Mason. Yes. And the Knicks now lead by 20. And after that game, Dennis Rodman, in fact, it was headlines here in the New York area, called the Knicks yellow. He indicated that they had quit. And there are several Knicks players who remember the statements by Rodman after the game and did discuss it earlier today. Dennis's hair on the yellow side for tonight's game. Not that you would think the Knicks would need motivation as Mason was stopped by Pippen after the good spin. Ward, Charlie Ward hits the 3. In the situation the Knicks are in, they're just desperate for victory, but they have come out here all pumped up. And despite the good charge by the Bulls, able to recover, and they have their biggest lead of the night.
Miller, where great taste runs in the family, brings you Miller Moments.
Tonight we'll look back at Michael Jordan's return to Broadway. It was last March the 28th, his first trip back to the Garden after his return to the Bulls, and Michael lit up the Knicks for 55 points, 21 of 37 from the field. And then with the game tied in the final seconds, Jordan found Bill Wennington for the game winner. The 55 points, the most scored by a Knicks opponent since the new Garden opened back in 1968. In recognition of this moment, Miller Genuine Draft will donate $1,000 to the Thurgood Marshall Scholarship Fund. Most 50-point games in the history of the NBA. Wilt Chamberlain with 122, one of those records that may never be caught. Michael Jordan with 34 in second place and counting. The Knicks are up 85-62 with 2 minutes gone by in the fourth quarter. Jordan for 3 and kept alive by Kukoc. And Kerr's pass Deflected out of bounds. Let's check in with Ahmad Rashad. Ahmad?
All right, thanks, Mark. Just like in the first half, Phil Jackson's still upset at his team. They're very lethargic, no energy, and says if they're going to have to get back in the game, they have to do it defensively. Mark?
And that's one of the reasons that Randy Brown, wearing 0, is on the floor. He is a very intense defensive play, just trying to see if he can get something going. That's Brown with the ball, guarded by Starks. Shot clock is down to 6. Good defensive sequence by the Knicks. Kukoc and Williams with the rebound. So here are the Bulls with only 62 points. This is the team that leads the NBA in scoring. The Bulls averaging 106 points per game. Ward passing on the 3, going for the 2, and throwing up an air ball, but Jordan could not hold on. It has been one of those games.
Well, this is exactly what Jeff Van Gundy wanted, that defensive energy, the defensive identity, and he has not pulled back even with the big lead. After free throws, he wants his players to get up and guard tight.
Mason with the rebound. They got the new 24. The worst defeat suffered by the Bulls this season was a 10-point margin. They lost at Phoenix in early February, 106-96. They are trailing here by 23. Ward for 3. Yes. The Knicks 88. The Bulls 62. A 34-6 run by the Knicks. An extraordinary turn after the Bulls appear to have it going. Kerr from way downtown. And Mason with the rebound. On the steal. Brown for Kukoc. Quick release jumper, Tony Kukoc. With only his first field goal, he'd missed his first 5 shots. Knicks 88, the Bulls 64.
Randy Brown in there to put that backcourt pressure, did on Charlie Ward, made him pick up his dribble and give the ball up. That's the only way the Bulls have a chance of getting back into this ballgame.
Herb Williams. We're told that Willie Anderson suffered a hyperextended right elbow, but he may return. And a foul is called. Offensive foul. And it's called on Caffey. There's Willie Anderson. And Patrick Ewing checking back in. Herb Williams, Anthony Mason sitting down. Derek Harper is back. Seven and a half remaining in the 4th. Starks. But you know, Jeff Van Gundy is just delighted what he has seen from John Starks here tonight. He's taking it to the basket. Hit on a reach-in. Foul committed by Starks. That is his 4th.
And even with the 24-point lead, Jeff Gundy coming back into the game with Patrick Ewing and with Derek Harper, I think he's trying to show his team, hey, we are going to find out who our finishers are. And I really don't care about the score. There's still plenty of time left in this ballgame. I want you guys to know who's going to be in the ballgame in the 4th quarter.
Judd Bushler has checked in for the first time. Jordan with the spin. Setting up Caffey. Offensive foul. Caffey called for the push. And a timeout taken. 6:57 remaining in the 4th. Well, from the streets of Manhattan to the exotic locale of Istanbul, Turkey, Ahmad Rashad making his return to the sideline with us today following a trip to Turkey. Ahmad showing little ability, it should be pointed out, negotiating with the locals. Ahmad actually in Turkey last week to explore the growing popularity of basketball around the world, preparing for an NBA special but global game, which will be seen here on NBC next Sunday, starting 2:30 Eastern Time. We'll take a look at Tony Kukoc and other NBA players who were born outside the United States who are playing key roles on their teams. For more on that subject, let's go to the Dean. Ahmad?
Yeah, Marv, it is just incredible how fast the game of basketball is growing all over the world. It's supposedly the fastest growing sport in the world, and in Turkey, they really have taken to it quite well. And one of the sayings that they had in the stands was, yes, and it counts. I thought you'd be proud to hear that.
No, you're making that up.
I'm not. No, I'm not. Okay, I am.
6.5 remaining in the fourth quarter. A 90-64 Knick lead. Here's Kerr for three. Steve Kerr from downtown. He has 10 points. That's his second three-pointer. The Knicks 90 and the Bulls 67. And we saw that old footage of the Beatles right at the top of the telecast. Well, that brought back bittersweet memories for Ahmad. He was the guy who had said the Beatles would never be as big as Herman's Hermits.
I know Bob was wondering what the per diem was on that magical mystery tour.
John Starks called for number 5. We're just under 6 minutes remaining in the fourth quarter. Brown being played by Ward. And Kerr got it off the screen. The offensive foul. It's called on Jordan, setting the illegal pick. So for Michael, his third personal. Jordan with 30 points. Pass off the foot of Reed and saved by Brown. Now Jordan posting up off the double team. And this is Brown. And the foul on Harper. That'll put Jordan at the line. The Chicago Bulls with only 6 losses this season, all on the road at Orlando, Seattle, Indiana, Denver, Phoenix by 10. And their last loss in Miami, 113-104, back on the 23rd of February. They had won all 30 of their games at home this season. And facing the prospect of loss number 7. As they gun for the magic number of 70, the 1972 Los Angeles Lakers went 69-13. That is the record. The Lakers of Wilt Chamberlain, Jerry West, and Gail Goodrich. The 67 Philadelphia 76ers, your ball club, Matt, went 68 up and 13 down. The Bulls did reach 50 victories faster than any team in the history of the league.
Now, looking at those first 3 losses for the Bulls, they came without the without Dennis Rodman available. He was out with that calf injury, so that's a big part of their team, and he has been relatively quiet today, other than a burst in the third quarter, 2 points and just 10 rebounds. Only 10 for Dennis, who averages 15 a game.
Now Jordan to the crossover and lost it. And for Michael, uncharacteristically, that is his 6th turnover.
And he's in that mode now where he's just trying to do everything. They're throwing him the ball and just standing around. And I guess things happen like that when you don't play well defensively, which the Bulls have not done. Again, other than that little bit in the third quarter, your offense looks bad as well.
Meanwhile, the Knicks are very loose. Patrick Ewing with 24 extends to the 92-69 lead. This is a Knicks team that comes in losing 7 of their last 9 games. Oh, what a fake by Jordan, but could not convert. He had Starks going to the floor on that head fake.
And you got to wonder a little bit at this point why Michael Jordan is still in the game. Scottie Pippen and Robin were long gone for the last 3 or 4 minutes, but Michael Jordan remains.
I think Phil Jackson was hoping for one final burst. Charlie Ward rebounded by Luke Longley. Watching Jeff Van Gundy, the new Knicks coach, on the sideline, much more active, particularly when the Knicks are on the defensive end, than he was in his head coaching debut on Friday night in Philadelphia. You know, you think of a guy who had not been a head coach since high school days in Rochester back in '86. Here's Longley. He's still developing his sideline personality. Ewing getting down court on the break.
After 2 games, too, I think we're going to see a change every time he steps on the sidelines the rest of this season.
Well, you can see it already. He was very pensive the other night. Here's Brown. And Ewing with the rebound. But he is very active here tonight.
I can't even describe to you what goes through your mind the first time that you're ever a head coach on any level, but you can imagine what it's like on the NBA level. Not only what's going through your mind, what's going through your stomach.
Harper gets it off. Yes! And it counts! And that's the way it has gone for Derek Harper and the New York Knicks in the second half. Timeout called by the Knicks with 2:51 remaining in the fourth. The Knicks are now up 96-69. Harper protecting the dribble, able to slice his way through, goes glass and hits. And when we come back, he'll be at the foul line.
Patrick Ewing with a very interested look on his face, wanting the basketball against Luke Longley, wanting to set a pick, and he's going to pop open for the wide open jumper. I thought the Knicks were going to go inside to Patrick Ewing much more, but they really didn't have to in this ball game because he had the outside shot going, and they got the big game from Patrick, scoring and rebounding.
And we have not seen that smile on the face of Patrick Ewing for some time. You can see the reaction. Jeff Van Gundy in his second game as head coach of the New York Knicks, taking over for Don Nelson. This is a club that was, for the most part, very unhappy, particularly the last couple of weeks, due to what many players felt was confusion on the part of the substitution pattern from Don Nelson. And it went public. Talked earlier about the feud with John Starks. Patrick Ewing obviously not happy with the style of Don Nelson. Not to say that it was right or wrong, and this is a very tough group, as we discussed earlier, but a very happy club this evening. On the other hand, it's one of those games for the Chicago Bulls, obviously their worst of the season, as Hubert Davis adds to the Knicks lead, 100-69 the score. The Bulls with only 9 points in this fourth quarter. Only 29 points in the half. It's a traveling violation. So with 2 minutes and 2 seconds to go in this fourth quarter, a 169 lead. Derek Harper receiving a standing ovation. He helped turn the game in the second half. For Harper, 23 points, 6 assists. Just too shy of a season high. 9 of 13 from the field overall. Brad Lohaus has checked in. Here's Ward. He beat Kerr off the dribble. And the Knicks lead 102-69. It's the worst defeat of the season for the Chicago Bulls. Prior to this one, their worst defeat, a margin of 10, as they lost in Phoenix by 10 back in early February. Here's Bushler with the runner, and he drew the foul. Down to a minute and 36 remaining in this fourth quarter. Well, that's coming up next right here on NBC. The lineup including Mad About You, News Radio, and the NBC Sunday night movie National Lampoon's Loaded Weapon. Right here on NBC, following the Bulls and the Knicks. You know, Matt, you look back to that run by the Bulls early third quarter that actually went back to the second. They had a 17-1 spurt. They led 54-51, and it looked like under normal conditions they were just going to put this one away. But the Knicks came roaring back, and it is now 102-70 with a minute and 20 to go. Foul on Bushler. John Sally has come on for the first time.
Well, that was no question. That was the key to the game, that the fact that the Knicks took that run by the Chicago Bulls, withstood it, regained the lead, and then went on from there. And it also helped that they did a good job on Scottie Pippen, who did not play particularly well, and also overall did a terrific job on Dennis Rodman.
Davis, and the rebound is handled by Caffey. Scottie Pippen only 5 of 16, 11 points. Rodman finishes with just 10 rebounds. Comes in averaging better than 15 a game to lead the league. And Michael Jordan just above his average with 32 points and turned it over 6 times. The ovation continues for the Knicks. A high-energy, pumped-up performance by this Knicks team that has been struggling. They will go to 35 and 26. Starks, yes. Down to 20 seconds. But now the problem facing Jeff Van Gundy, because this is a Knicks squad that tends to celebrate prematurely and tends to feel that one victory is the end-all. It's got to be Curry.
That's the big question. How are they going to build on this? They got a game with Minnesota coming up in the middle of the week. Philadelphia at the end of the week, a chance to do a little business.
So the Knicks defeat the Bulls 104 to 72. A score that will raise eyebrows throughout the NBA.
Derek Harper grabbing that basketball, no doubt, to give it to Jeff Van Gundy for his first win.
Now let's go over to Ahmad with one of the Knicks heroes tonight, Patrick Ewing. Ahmad?
All right, thanks, Mark. Patrick, I have not seen you smiling as much as you were at the end of this game. A great performance by your team today.
Oh, definitely. We came out, we knew what we had to do. We got it done. You know, last time we played the Bulls, Scotty was talking a lot of trash that Madison Square Garden was his house. Well, we had to let him know that it's still ours.
You know, you guys really, you played well offensively, but defensively, it seemed that you had a lot of effort on the defensive end.
Yeah, definitely. We wanted to get back to the way that we played defense in the past. You know, the entire year we haven't been playing defense the way that we're accustomed to playing it. And with Jeff, we're trying to get back to that.
What about the difference with Jeff? What's the difference between Jeff and Nelly? How's it been the last couple of days?
It's been a lot different. We're going back to the way that we used to be with Pat. You know, long practices, running, jumping, just doing banging, bumping, scratching the corn, just doing everything that we have to do to get the win.
And all that stuff seems to make you very happy.
Oh, it makes this working, and you know, we just got to salvage the rest of the season, just keep on going.
All right, Patrick, good luck to you.
Thanks, Lamar. Let me say hello to my father this time, since he didn't do it at the All-Star game.
You've been wanting to do this for a while. Look right in the camera and say hello.
Pops, hello. What's up?
All right, thanks, Pat. Back to you, Marv.
All right, Patrick Ewing, 26 points, 14 rebounds. The Bulls with only 12 points in the fourth quarter, just 32 in the second half. The Knicks 104 and the Bulls 72.